Okay, go for it. We're all watching it saying, don't go for this, right? I don't mean to speak for everybody, but we're all thinking, don't go for this, because you're going to punt, you can play field position. Your defense is all over C.J. Stroud. I mean, Chris Jones has not had any sort of season that is related to the contract that he has and the first-team All-Pros that sit on his mantle. But tonight, he looked like an all-world player again for the first time this season. So you're going to get after C.J. Stroud, who at one point was 2 of 10 passing in the second half. But instead, you give them that short field, and that's the risk that you run. Of course, I believe Andy Reid was trying to do it to provide a spark for his offense. There's 10 minutes left. You just provided a spark to the other team with the best defense in football, the other team that now has a short field who can get their own spark by going a short distance, 31 yards for a score. That's what happened. That was the risk you run when you go for it there. It just felt too early.
And the most surprising thing about that decision by Andy Reid, when you look at the experience that he has in the National Football League, coaching in many different styles of play, this was a grimy game, which meant it would be a field position game, to JJ's point, a defensive battle. So play the field position game. C.J. Stroud only threw for 32 yards in the second half. He had 171 in the first half, 32 in the second half. The adjustments that Steve Spagnuolo made was definitely effective against C.J. Stroud. So it didn't make any sense to panic in that situation, and that's what it felt like he did.
Yeah.
You got 10 minutes on the clock, 10-10. It's a 0-0 ball game. Punt the football. 9 times out of 10, if you look at the flow of the game in the second, to go for it. Because at that point, when you went for it then at the 10-minute mark, yeah, you might as well continue to go for it because you already set the standard.
Yeah, it was 4th and 4 from the Kansas City 41 with 5.5 minutes left at that point, which is a clear punt. Really, but because you already went for it, and now you're down 7,
and they
because
scored.
You went for it.
Can't backtrack on strategy.
I think what happened, Andy Reid didn't panic. He realized his team was shook and rattled, and it started late in the third quarter as the clock was winding down when Jalen Petrie separated man from football on Rashee Rice. He saw the eyes of his whole team. Was like, man, these guys got to wake up. And so, to your point, he didn't try to provide a spark, and he didn't get it. But the Houston Texans defense went ahead and dictated what was about to happen on that 4th down, because once Petrie laid out Rice, it was all she wrote, because the defense was playing active in the first half. Then he kind of went into this lull back and forth. And then late in the third quarter, it was like, all right, we about to knock the stuff out. We're about to go take this ball game. And they did so on that late, I think it was 3rd down, and then subsequently on that 4th down.
Which makes this so confusing even more because of the defense he is going against.
Yeah.
That's the thing, Emery, to your point. Houston, they have I think they have the best defense. I don't know what the entire
They're
numbers
number one
look like,
in terms of scoring
but
defense.
They are the best because of how they play. You feel when they play. They set the standard. They set the tone. And they're very smart, and they execute. They don't beat themselves. So the first decision on your plus 30 to go for it, no. Let your defense, let Chris Jones do what he was doing the entire ball game. Let him dictate and set you up.
George Karlaftis looked like a player, finally. We haven't talked about George Karlaftis one time this season until tonight. He looked fantastic. They were overwhelming at Texans' offensive line that up to this point had started to gel. They were not gelling. C.J. Stroud was in Never Never Land, and what you needed to do was keep going after him. And they didn't do it, and he wanted the spark. Instead, Joe, he gave a spark.
He offered one.
You can't provide a spark when you don't have a lighter. And how many offensive linemen were they missing?
That's just it, too.
Like 3, and you lost your backup. You had a 3rd stringer in.
Who balled, though.
Yeah, he did, but in these moments, when it's 5-star moments, you need to rely on your 5 stars. They didn't have it.
Stay the course.
Stay the course.
Stay the course, because we sat here pregame and attempted to opine how Kansas City would win this game. They were showing us exactly how in that second half. Defensive pressure, possessing the football, winning the small moments, and it's a questionable decision there that really felt like the crossroads of this football game. I want to go deeper here on Houston's defense, because I mean, you hold the Chiefs in Kansas City to 10 points. There's no question of how you performed. The results are right there on the scoreboard. It showed up a little bit differently in the box score in this one. What did you see in the way that they limited Patrick Mahomes to what was, by many metrics, his worst statistical game of his career?
Well, first and foremost, we knew it would be difficult coming into the game when you talk about the missing offensive linemen. And then the very first play, you lose your starting left tackle. Now it's like you're scrambling. But what Houston did was they never allowed any momentum to get going with Pat Mahomes where he can kind of find his rhythm. And you know, one of the things I said during the pregame show, I said they're not good enough to huddle and beat Houston. They got to utilize tempo. They got to spread them out. They never did anything like that. You remember what Jumpston, this is a team, Lord have mercy, I'm trying to tell you, they spark fear. I can guarantee you this. This is, when you look at how they police the NFL now in terms of the physical nature, they make sure they monitor and they police it a little bit. But when you play against Houston, you better protect yourself because they don't play by the same set of rules as other defenses in the National Football League. And to your point about how their wide receivers were kind of, second guessing, a bit hesitant, they knew they were going to get hit. They knew they were going to get hit, and it affected the entire flow. Think about this, guys. Kansas City has the fastest wide receiver based on 40 time on their team, Xavier Worthy. Hollywood Brown is a guaranteed 4.3. I think Rashee Rice was around 4.4, maybe high 4.3, whatever the case may be. Did you ever feel their speed?
No.
Did you feel it?
No.
At any given time when you watch this game, did you feel like they can take one at any given time?
No. Nothing over the top, and then there was really no yards after the catch either, where they were just running away from dudes. And I'll say this, because there were times during this game, and I want to give complete credit to the Houston Texans defense, because they absolutely made the Chiefs fear them and feel them. But there were times during this game where it felt like the Chiefs' Super Bowl loss against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because you have Patrick Mahomes, who was clearly hobbled. We saw him put that sort of heat wrap on his knee. And he's out there making many throws, stepping up in the pocket with a backup left tackle. And then what's happening? The ball's going through his wide receiver's hands. And we saw it with Rashee Rice. We saw it a couple of times, very, very costly with Travis Kelce. I saw a quarterback who is still the best in the world at what he does, who had to take on this entire team on his back, and he faltered at times because this is a team sport. Not because Patrick Mahomes didn't make the play on 4th and 1 from the 31. Not because he can't make the play from 4th and 4 at the 40, but because his teammates, again, let him down.
I think the secondary helped lead this team defensively for the Houston Texans. Petrie had the interception early in the ball game.
Well.
Every highlight we've shown of this ball game, somebody's getting hit. One of these receivers is getting hit. You know what I'm saying? And so that changed the dynamic of how they were going to play. And again, you go into a ball game, we talked about this in the pregame, we come in expecting to win. We said the emotional game they had last year was going to kind of lead them into this ball game, and it did so defensively because it wasn't the defensive line this time for Houston. It was the back seven. The back seven really saved them, set the tone, and really took this game away from Kansas City. So I like that they were led this time differently from their defense.
Which is a scary thing.
Exactly, because they turned the ball over, they hit everybody that touched the football, and they had these guys really calling mercy before it was all over.
Two significant drops. The 4th down drop by Rashee Rice, and then the last offensive possession by Travis Kelce. You know what lead to drops? When you know you're going to get hit.
Fear.
When you know they're going to hit you.
Yeah.
And if you look at that Travis Kelce catch, he was kind of open up, and he still got hit.
Got hit anyway.
He still got hit, but he was trying to. He knew it was coming because he plays that secondary, the linebacker.
Stifling opposing offenses, and in this moment, it's putting out the flame on a dynasty more or less because all of the things that the Kansas City Chiefs did over this last 7 years are coming up in the inverse. Patrick Mahomes' play, timely playmaking and catches by Travis Kelce, and even on this night, situational football and decision-making by the head man in Andy Reid. I don't know that it needs a rubber stamp. I don't know that we sitting at this desk need to say anything that the projections don't, but it feels like we are fait accompli here for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, I do not believe that they're going to make the postseason, and it is because what they would need to do is they would have to win every single time. First of all, they have to win out. They then have to win every single tiebreaker, and they need everyone in front of them to lose multiple
games.
And the right teams to lose multiple games. So there's no doubt they have to win out. And based off of what we have seen so far this season with the Kansas City Chiefs, we would say for all 4 of those games, yeah, they can win them. Will they win them? No, they won't. Why would you say that anymore? And so I am not willing to say, just probably as a matter of semantics, that the dynasty is necessarily dead. I think the Chiefs can come back next year, make the playoffs, and it can continue on in this era of Chiefs football. They're not winning the AFC West. That is over mathematically.
Nine straight.
That's over. They are not going to make the playoffs, according to me and I think everyone else at this desk. I don't know that the dynasty necessarily is dead. You can miss the playoffs and still, do pretty well over the next 10 years.
It's a fair point. You represent the conference in 4 of the last 5